Hello there. I'm born medicated, and I'm making some videos of my favorite books. I decided to start with Courtyard, NEONOMICON and PROVIDENCE because I really couldn't find any videos out there that did a sort of analysis. Now, I am not very smart. I am in no way saying this is the explanation of the story. I'm just going to explain it how I see it and hopefully have some fun and make some friends here on YouTube. I'm on disability with schizoaffective disorder, and doing videos like this helps me be social in a way. I'm just saying it's tough for me to get out there and be a part of society. It's only me and my little dog against the world and what I'm calling my second act of life. Like I said, I hope to make some friends here on YouTube, so let's do this. The second part kind of starts out like part one, and I promise this video is going to be better. So in the first video, we meet Fetty. We don't learn his name, but he's an FBI agent, so I named him that. We learn he's in Brooklyn, and it's under a dome for reasons we don't know yet. We also see he's investigating a series of murders, all done the same weird way. The torsos are cut open like flowers, the heads and hands are removed, and one killer even saved all the thumbs. Thing is, they're at least done by 4 people, because they have 15 murders and only 13 are accounted for. So there's at least one murderer still out there. And these 3 that they've caught are in no way connected. They even kept the details from the public to avoid copycats. Well, Fetty gets all the X-File jobs, so his boss sent him undercover at a club that is connected to one of the murders. We meet his snitch, Joey Face, there, and Joey Face introduces us to a drug dealer named Johnny Carcosa. He peddles in cock rings and what looks like snuff porn pictures, along with this strange new drug that makes people talk Lovecraftian. Well, Johnny says he doesn't have the stuff on him, and to meet him back at his place at 3 a.m. Fetty has some time to go back to his crappy house where the walls are paper thin. It's where you rent a room, yet you still share a bathroom in the house. So he's looking over the FBI papers his boss sent him, and it closes with a picture of a monster under a blanket that is in chains in one of the pictures at the end of the file. So we start part 2, and Fetty is complaining about his neighbor Jermaine. She lives in the room next to him, and like I said, the walls are very, very thin. It's 2:35 a.m., and Fetty can hear Jermaine on the phone screaming at David Letterman, telling him he can't go on TV with what looks like a rug on his head. He's studying the fax phone papers his boss Perlman sent him. His boss thinks it's some kind of satanic cult thing, even though out of the 3 culprits caught, one's a Baptist and the other 2 are Catholic. Then he calls his boss a know-nothing Jewish racist word, but that monster in the photo is interesting. So now it's 3 a.m. and time to meet Johnny Carcosa. Entering the projects, he walks by some Candyman graffiti-looking stuff, stepping on some needles and hoping the tree in the mural, because it looks like it stretches into the wall, so it must look 3D or something. Carcosa yells out the window, "Come on up," and hearing this guy yell must be hilarious. Well, Fetty goes up to the 4th floor. Somehow more makes walking up a project stairwell sound beautifully poetic, and that's the reason you read Alan Moore in the first damn place. Okay, I have to say, it's just occurring to Fetty that this guy has a hair lip explaining the yellow bandana. Now, you have to literally decipher what this guy is saying in the last issue. Even the spelling details a lisp, so you have to decode what this guy is saying. And I don't care what kind of group you kick it in your spare time, that belly dancer thing is gonna stick out. But hey, he's only a federal agent. Anywho, we see an extremely short and old person who Johnny talks to in Lovecraft language. Fetty thinks, what the fuck, when he hears the word Alco, and this is the first time he's putting together that the language is the same as the band was speaking earlier. He thought it was the drug making people talk like that, but he notices that they are using it as their main language. The place also smells pungent and bitter like a reptile house, and there's a weird undertone to the place. He sits on Johnny's bed and sees more Pikmin photos. There's a subway accident he looks at and picks apart a little bit, comparing it to other artists like Bosch or Rosie, before Johnny interrupts with the white powder. Fetty's like, this ain't Alco, and Johnny slurs, of course not. Fetty says, I want to take some with me. But Johnny says, you'll take it with you when I give it to you, but first you have to snort the white powder. Okay, dude sells fucked up pictures of people kind of being tortured. So Fetty must think that even high on whatever DMT 7 is, he can take Johnny and this old lady. He doesn't really know how many people are in the place. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to even try to fight on regular DMT, let alone whatever this stuff is. But Fetty's like, I've done DMT before, so let's do this. And he snorts it. If you saw the intro to my first video, that was part of the dialogue. So Johnny says in his Fetty's ear, Wazah, why ye? And again, it turns into the Alan Moore we all love. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go about this the best I can. A mental floor gives way beneath me. I realize I know what the world means, have known, all along. Well, so far so good. He thinks what we've all thought while tripping, that we know what it all means. Wazah, why ye, is a word the negative conceptual space left surrounding a positive concept. The class of things larger than thought being what thought excludes. Well, conceptual art is art where the idea that the artist has is considered more important than the finished art itself, if there's any finished product at all. So conceptual thought might be acting without thinking of the consequences or like the finish, I guess. And this may be the negative ideas surrounding our thoughts. Now, I don't know where this is going, but I've heard it explained as the despair code. Lovecraft being connected to this despair code I've heard on the internet. It's the idea that negative thoughts, like those thoughts people get when they think that they could actually get away with killing someone, or the thought of maybe bashing someone over the head, they're extremely bad thoughts that just like pop into your mind from time to time. I'm sure everyone has had terrible thoughts like these, and some think it's actually imprinted in us like a code. And here the negativity is bigger than our thoughts, but overlooked at the same time. Like it's just hovering around our thoughts all the time, I guess waiting for something. So you do the DMT and it puts you into a dream state. And we know Lovecraft loves dream states. You do the DMT and hear a Lovecraft word and it kicks you into this weird state which he describes as comfortable but familiar. Just like when you do DMT, and because it produces the same chemical in your brain as dreams do, when you do DMT, it feels familiar. So maybe that has something to do with it. Now, Fetty's already sweating when he feels yellow silk brush against his ear and hears another word said. Daho, Hana. How could I have forgotten? Implying that he used to know of this, or we as a people used to know of this and have forgotten. A pinwheel of nautilus fronds is dissolved into sparks by my vitriosious humor as huge, old grammatical structures collapse into place. So, nautilus fronds in this case means something like squid legs. A vitreous humor is just an eyeball, and grammatical means well formed. So he's looking at stars and sparks flow into octopus arms, coming out or going into his own eyeball. Then he realized Alco isn't a drug. No drug on Earth has mind altering properties halfway as powerful. Alco isn't a drug but a lost language. A primal language that consists of more than lost thoughts, but also lost color and intensities. Lovecraft wrote about colors from other dimensions so alien that our minds can't even fathom them. So this is kind of like that. Then he gets the third and final hit. Yurar, Nigar. New dendrites twitch blindly together, unthinkable fusions occurring beneath me. A vortex of marvelous coinage is open. I let go and fallen. Well, a dendrite is a short fiber that conducts towards the cell body of a neuron. And coinage means productive or interweaving. So this last word touches every neuron in his body and produces this image. So he opens his eyes and he knows it's later. The peak of the drug has worn off, but he says his mouth is full of the new language. So it makes more sense now of what Joey Face was talking about when he called the opening band posers, and they were just acting like they were on Alco. Events have a continuity now, disassociate clusters of data in pregnant post-linear auras. His first steps are embedded in those taken down, and paying Johnny is folded around buying Joey Face a beer. So it seems like all time is happening at once. I've heard this state explained a lot in science fiction and by other comic writers like Grant Morrison. Time is like flipping through a comic book, like it all happens at the same time. The aliens from the movie Arrival also experience time like this, and Dr. Manhattan talks about it too. All events are time roses, the clenched fuck uncrumpling into a life as the species folds back into annelid ancestors. So, in other words, our species and all events regress back. Maybe evolves back in this case. Evolves back into sexless, worm-like ancestors. Wow. There lies our Dahone, a meaning bestowed retroactively as forms as yet unachieved but implied. So this means the name was given by forms that are waiting and silent. Sounds like Cthulhu. Waiting. Then says that we ourselves are the Ligor, yet beyond the Fatagan of our usual perspective. Fatagan meaning realm, maybe, and we have to do the Alco to see this realm. I don't know. Time being a function of matter, this freeing of ultimate forms may be hastened by pertinent sculpture. I now grasp that isn't Clinton Street, nor is it truly me walking across it. We're both merely part of a verbalized reconstruction I'm making to you as I stand here, bent above you, Jermaine. Now he says to Jermaine, his neighbor, that he puts the tape on her mouth, not to keep her quiet, but to keep the Dahone from going in the wrong way. He tells her not to worry about her hands, they're in a safe place, but to focus on the concept of not hands. He says he needs her awake, and to watch closely as he performs each cut to make this sculpture. I think he believes he's setting her free in a way, letting something flow into her. Then he goes off into Lovecraft language with the last word, Fatagan, and all goes black. We now know why the murders were identical. I'm not sure if when you do Alco, Carcosa has to say these words to you, or if anyone else can even peddle Alco at all. I'm not sure if Carcosa himself is the one that makes people murder, or if you just do too many hits, you go out there and murder. I'm not sure. But the good thing is that so many awesome questions are answered and so many new ones arise as we go on. I'm very excited to make the next videos, and I promise I'll get better at this. I'm Born Medicated. Please like and subscribe.